Our potential to discover new technology in the future is limitless. It just depends on what we concentrate our efforts on, so we need to make sure we're focusing on the right things. Advances in virtual reality could make the most impact in our lives. With it, we can create infinite worlds with endless possibilities not bound by the problems of reality. Today, VR is mainly used as a gimmick to complement video games, and often, even when someone buys a VR headset, they don't use it as their primary way to play. The industry is stuck in a loop. There aren't many good games that take advantage of VR, so then the developers aren't making their games compatible. And because there aren't many games compatible, then no one is buying the headset, because people don't want to buy the headset if there are no games. If things continue like this, VR will never reach its full potential. Moore's law says the number of transistors in each computer will double every year. This trend in innovation that's been happening for the past 50 years will lead to games that can support a lot of things going on and many details. This doesn't account for what happens when we figure out quantum computing, where our ability to process information will go up exponentially. With the computers of tomorrow, virtual reality will be nearly indistinguishable from our reality. The computer chips will be so compact that the headsets will become obsolete in favor of various other smaller devices, such as implants or virtual reality contacts. This will be such a useful tool that it will take over other aspects of our lives other than entertainment, such as replacing our smartphones, used in business and meetings, and in schools. Such a radical change seems scary from today's perspective, but that was also some people's reaction towards smartphones when they were first introduced. We were fearful that they would take over our lives. Like smartphones, VR will only take over our lives if we let it. There needs to be a degree of self-control involved. Today, the only sense we've been able to simulate well is sight, but even that we haven't come close to mastering yet. Though there has been small-scale attempts to incorporate other senses into virtual reality, it hasn't been explored much. But with your help, we could further this research. In the future, all 5 senses have been flawlessly integrated, resulting in a lifelike experience. This is when we start to question what's real. If you can see it, smell it, and touch it, then what really separates it from its real-life counterpart? Imagine what it would be like to come home after a long day at work. So to relax, you turn on the VR. A quick flash of light and suddenly you're in the hub world, an area where you can interact with others to buy both virtual and real products in stores, as well as consume food and beverages. The hub world also acts like the main menu on a console would, where you go to a different circle on the ground that corresponds to the game or application you wish to use. The gaming industry has now become one of the biggest industries in the world with an ever-increasing demand for a variety of titles. So many people have gone into coding that it's commonplace to hire a developer to design a game according to the customer specifications. This personalized experience allows you the freedom to play however you want. So far, we've mostly talked about how VR affects the average person on a day-to-day basis, but the medical aspect is also important. Doctors use VR to simulate complex operations in order to practice before the real thing. This helps doctors get the practice as well as the confidence in their ability to perform this procedure. In the future, this is standard practice, with doctors now having used this since medical school. There are now virtual guides that show the exact movements needed to perform any kind of operation. Another unexpected but helpful use for VR comes in the form of pain management. Sedation and anesthesia can be risky in some patients, so doctors have been looking for alternatives. Virtual reality of relaxing settings showed up to a 50% reduction in pain, and considering how crude it was, it shows that there's potential here. With further development, this could potentially solve the opioid epidemic. Lastly, VR can be used for physical rehabilitation. If someone has a stroke or head injury, oftentimes it results in balance and mobility problems. It helps by monitoring the patient's movements to be analyzed, then given feedback by a doctor on how to improve, as well as controlling the environment of the patient in order to see what situations are causing them difficulties. As you can see, we are learning about many ways that VR can improve our lives. Let you sure that there are other ways that there is there. It's a very new idea that you can explore. It's why we need your help and your